Nerdcast assemble!
Stay dandy, baby.
The best anime come from the 1980s, and none are more classic than the full-throttle action fest that is Riding Bean. What the fuck is Riding Bean? Well, Riding Bean just so happens to be the subject of my latest Patreon review. This video was brought to you by Carson Clark, who made a very nice donation through my Patreon page, and he gave me a choice of anime to watch, and I sort of just flipped a coin up in the air, and it was between two different series. One was called Robot Carnival, and the other one was called Riding Bean, and, well, I got Riding Bean. I got really excited with this one. I'm always a big fan of anime from the 1980s, especially those super over-the-top, action-packed, ultra-gory OVA-styled shows. They were just so amazing in the 1980s. It really was the best decade. But I'm not here to debate what's the best decade for Japanese cartoons. No, I'm here to take a look at Riding Bean, which honestly I didn't know what to take from it initially. You hear the title, you think, is a humanoid bean-like thing going to be a part of the series? No, Riding Bean is a fascinating anime story. It's an OVA which is based on a manga series which only had 4 chapters. That's not a very good run, but apparently this is due to the magazine that it was running in at the time ended up getting canceled, so that sucks. Riding Bean comes from the mind of one Kenichi Sanada, a guy who's worked on anime and manga, and his most popular manga series is something which is called Gunsmith Cats, which is supposedly a spiritual successor to this series, Riding Bean. Riding Bean itself is sort of like the perfect encapsulation of what 1980s anime kind of looked like, where things at times could be hyper-realistic, but they could also be cartoony as all shit. This sort of weird 1970s style that was slowly and monstrously transforming into what would be the modern anime of the 1990s. But overall, I like Kenichi's style. I think it looks really great for the show, and it gives me a massive nostalgia boost. But overall, it was a very easy series to digest. Of all the Patreon reviews, this was probably the easiest one, because it was just one 45-minute OVA. And I have to say, for someone who just doesn't have a lot of time, thank you, Carson. I mean, let's get one thing out of the way. Riding Bean is the high-fructose corn syrup of anime series. It sweetens our drinks and it clogs our arteries. But damn it, it feels good going down. Let me get one thing straight, though. Riding Bean is not high art. It's just classic entertainment. There's not really much to take from it aside from enjoying the high-octane action, the cool-looking characters, and the batshit crazy things that actually happen in this story. And yes, there are many moments just like this one. So let's go ahead and jump into the 1989 OVA anime series, Riding Bean. Oh, but first, let's do that stupid YouTube algorithm bullshit. You like my stuff? Hit the like button. You like my videos? Maybe subscribe. And, of course, check out my Patreon. Remember, first-time donators, I'll review an anime series of your choice. Alright, let's get into this bad motherfucker right here. Riding Bean is all about Bean Bandit, a badass courier for hire who says no to practically any job. This immediately makes him a pretty interesting character, as he's not exactly a hero, he's not exactly a villain, he works somewhere in the gray area, and he's big, he's dumb, he's loud, he's gruff, he wants to make love to his car every single night sweetly by the fire. He's not in the business alone, though. He does have a female partner who goes by the name of Raleigh Vincent. Super cool name. And what Bean is to cars, Raleigh is to guns. And hilariously enough, their adventures take place in what is Japan's interpretation, at least, of a late 1980s Chicago. And pretty much it's every kind of super excessive action scene that you've seen from the 1980s distilled perfectly into animated form. I could tell immediately from like the first 3 minutes of this OVA that it was going to be a lot of fun, as the way that they actually introduced the character of Bean is fantastic. It actually opens up in this mall, which is being raided by these criminals who are kidnapping this woman, and this one dude gets his head blown off in an extremely violent fashion. It's this moment that makes you realize that these are not nice people. They are here to kill people who get in their way, and they are on a mission. And suddenly we go outside and we get to see this one badass dude is hanging out in his car. It looks like he's getting ready to take on the mean streets. They sort of build this guy up like he's going to maybe be some superhero who's going to save the day, and he ends up driving through traffic wildly with fantastic animation, only to arrive at the mall to pick up the other 2 criminals. Yes, this is our hero. This is going to be fucking awesome! Look, I'm not saying that I'm rooting for the bad guy or anything, but I think stories that feature anti-heroes just tend to be a little more, well, fun. And that's basically what this entire show is all about. They firmly establish what type of person Bean is, the adventures that he goes on, and that he does a lot of crazy shit, and he does it just for the kicks. But we get to learn that the two criminals that he was actually working with are actually trying to frame him for a kidnapping, and that tends to be the main story of this entire OVA. These two criminals who have the most ridiculous over-the-top costumes, that weird Mission Impossible bullshit where they basically look completely hyper-realistic, they rip off the fake plastic and boom, they're back to normal, and it's basically two girls, Semmerling and her younger partner who goes by the name of Carrie, whose age is not ever said out loud, but she looks dangerously young to be hanging out with this woman, and they are definitely a thing. Scissor me timbers, am I right? But essentially, they concoct this crazy plan where they're going to kidnap this wealthy man and his daughter, and they want to get some ransom money, but they actually manage to frame Bean and make it look like he and Rally are the actual kidnappers, and then suddenly a giant chase scene ensues, which pretty much never stops throughout the course of the entire series. It's basically Bean, Rally, and this rich guy's daughter as they drive around Chicago, getting chased by police, trying to find the secret truth of what's really going on here, and by the end of it, it turns into a massive, giant car scene of semis and guns and exploding and cars and car foo. Yes, did I mention car foo? That's kind of a thing in riding Bean. Bean is a great driver. They established that early on. He can do practically inhuman shit with his car, but there's this great scene where they try to bust into the mansion of this rich guy to return his daughter, only to be accosted by all these guards who decide to fuck with his car, which is something you don't want to do with Bean, by the way, because he ends up literally car-fooing this asshole up against a tree. This is awesome. What's really funny about all of this is that I always thought that John Wick, which I love, by the way, invented the concept of car foo, basically getting a car and using it to beat the hell out of people. But no, it's right here in Riding Bean. Riding Bean has been spinning bitches against trees since 1989. That's honestly the joy of this entire OVA, is just seeing the ridiculous chase sequences that occur. Not only that, but the overall action itself actually manages to be super awesome, incredibly fluid, and surprisingly well animated the entire time. Bean and Rally are really great characters. They're sort of the good cop, bad cop, which is kind of funny considering that Rally has, like, extreme precision with her gun and will just pop your head off. And if you're someone who just loves stupid 1980s manly machismo stuff, guns, cars, kick-ass GT 500s, ridiculous action scenes, and explosive effects, then Riding Bean is definitely gonna be for you. And that's basically Riding Bean. It's a really simple OVA, which is essentially just a giant chase scene of trying to uncover these criminals and how they framed the main characters, and it's all dressed up in just a lot of over-the-top action sequences, which, like I said, look pretty damn slick the entire time, have jaw-droppingly hilarious music, and speaking of hilarity, I have to say that I watched the English dub for this one. It did not age well!
You rotten bitch.
Now, that's not nice.
That being said, I think bad English dubs, when they're connected to a 1980s excessive violence, machismo-styled anime series, just manages to enhance the experience all that much more. I mean, this is a really good-looking OVA. I mean, it's not going to reinvent the wheel in any way, but everything it sets out to do with its amazing action scenes and physics, which defy everything, by the way, it just manages to do really freaking well. Now, I'm not saying that Riding Bean was a sexual experience, but I turned one of my socks into glass. So if you're looking for a fun, slick, fast, action-packed 1980s OVA, which is really short to watch, and a nice introduction to Gunsmith Cats, then maybe consider checking out Riding Bean. Like I said, it's sort of this perfect encapsulation of everything that is 1980s anime. And like I said, it's not like the most amazing thing on the planet, but man, I got so much entertainment from this, and I just wanted more by the end of it. I don't know if it's that cheesy English dub, the over-the-top violence, the super awesome car scenes, or just the fact that, again, this is a Japanese interpretation of Chicago in the 1980s. It just works. I loved this one quite a bit. One of my favorite Patreon reviews. I hope more people suggest OVAs like this in the future, especially the older stuff, because, yes, daddy like. So there it is, my quick Patreon review on Riding Bean. Carson, thank you so much for suggesting this one to me. It not only gave me something really fun to watch, but now I'm kind of curious to see what this whole Gunsmith Cats things is all about. Apparently, there is a small OVA of that as well, so maybe I'll decide to check that out. I like this Kenichi Sanada style. It really speaks to my macho ways. I'm a macho guy. You know that, guys. Ha! Remember, guys, you can get your very own personalized Patreon review. All you have to do is make a small donation through my Patreon. It's super easy, guys, so make sure to do that. And that's another Patreon review in the books, my friends. Thank you all for watching this video. Like I said at the very beginning, make sure to do all that YouTube algorithm stuff. Take care of yourselves and each other. I'll see you all next time, and as always, stay dandy, baby.